KMTV Action 3 News Weekend starts now with breaking news.
5 o'clock now, and we continue our breaking news coverage here on Action 3 News. A reported explosion just before 3 o'clock at a popular lunch spot in Omaha's Old Market. You're looking now live at M's Pub near 11th and Howard, up in flames as firefighters work to put out the flames inside the building. We have team coverage for you now. Miranda Christian is at the scene with reaction from people in the area and more on what they heard happen. And we'll start with her. Miranda?
So we are out here right now. We have been here for several hours now, and as you can see, this is still very, very active. I just spoke with MUD. They have turned off the gas to this building, and OPPD also said the electricity is off to this building. So right now it looks like the firefighters are just fighting this fire. It's still just billowing up from the ground with what we saw. We moved to the north side of the block here because the smoke was so heavy. It will just billow up, come right at you, and it just takes your breath away. Everything just smells. You can see this cloud of smoke for miles. There's this huge flame that was just coming up from the ground where this M's Pub used to be. There's dozens of firefighters out here that we've seen all for the past several hours. They have about 3 or 4 hoses on this right now, spraying water on the fire, trying to get this out. Now, MUD was walking around trying to get this, marking the area, I'm sure, doing what they need to do to make sure everybody's safe and going on. This area is starting to block off. There's still people kind of trying to come check this out. I spoke with someone who was at the restaurant next door called Jam's. He felt the explosion. He thought a bomb had gone off, and he told us his reaction.
And we heard we didn't know if it was an explosion, earthquake, the building shook. Then we looked out the windows, we seen people running from that, the pub, or whatever that, M's Pub, I guess it was. And so I walked over there, and people were running out, and they just had like minor head wounds, blood running down their face, down their ears. And then we kind of all got out and looked at it, and then they started shutting the streets down. It was chaotic when we seen the people running out of the restaurant that had the wounds and the cuts and stuff, and then it kind of got everybody else, and then they evacuated our restaurant too.
So now, like I said, they're still fighting this fire. I found out that all the employees that were actually inside M's Pub or in another restaurant, kind of as a safe place right now. Of course, we'll stay on top of this, give you updates as we know them, as they become available, and we'll update you later on in the show. Reporting live, I'm Miranda Christian, KMTV Action 3 News.
Okay, Miranda Christian on the scene there. Thank you. Earlier today, a woman who lives in a nearby apartment was just coming home as the explosion happened.
The smell of gas on 11th and Howard was so awful I couldn't breathe. So I pulled my car in the alley and I ran upstairs and dropped off my work, and I called 911 to tell them about the gas, that I could smell a leak, and I ran to my neighbors and knocked on their doors to tell everyone to get out, and my friend and I started to gather our stuff, and the whole building shook with the explosion. Smoke started filling. I'm on the 4th floor. It was already coming in the 4th floor. We tried to get on the elevator, got stuck in the elevator on the 2nd floor, but it opened up, and we came running out, and they were evacuating. The explosion took place at M's, and people were screaming and running out of there, trying to get away from the fire. And the police were just yelling for everyone to evacuate the 2-block area.
Compelling sound from a woman there who was inside the building just before the explosion. Right now, MUD technicians are working to get that gas pipe isolated where firefighters are fighting those flames. We're now seeing reports, too, of firefighters having difficulty with some of their equipment because of the temperatures outside. And for more on what these firefighters are facing as they fight these flames, we'll go now to John Walsh in the Weather Center. John?
Well, besides creating just an unbearably uncomfortable situation, it can cause problems to valves, to pumps, makes conditions slippery for the firefighters themselves, and just a very difficult time when We're looking at temperatures the way we're seeing this evening, dropping into the single digits and eventually below zero tonight. Couple that with the winds to make it feel even more brutal. Right now, they're sustained out of the northwest at 21 miles an hour, making it feel like anywhere between minus 15 to minus 10 degrees. Eventual temperatures this evening around the Old Market area and the downtown area will fall to about 3 degrees at 8:30, on our way to pretty close to zero by midnight tonight, Kevin.
Now, John, with the temperatures this cold, how long does it take water to freeze when it's coming out of those hoses?
Well, I mean, moving water is not going to freeze quite as quickly, but everything's going to be sopping wet. And so we're seeing temperatures right now falling into the single digits. It's going to freeze very, very quickly. And again, hydrants can freeze up, water pumps can freeze up, valves can freeze up. And as I mentioned before, just making things extremely slick, adding to the hazard to firefighters themselves.
All right, meteorologist John Walsh for us. Thanks, John. Right now, the coldest temperatures of the season are